Hello, everyone. This is the December meeting of the Old Astoria Neighborhood Association. We appreciate everybody coming down, braving the weather, prioritizing this meeting over the 150 others that are going on right now all over the neighborhood. So thank you so much for coming. And we always start our meetings with everybody introducing themselves. We do this because one of our goals is to create a sense of community in the neighborhood. So community means getting people to know each other. So it's important that if you mention your name and what you do, who knows, there may be somebody else on the other side of the room that you can connect with. So we'd like to start with that, and we start here on the table over here. Just give us your name and what you do.
Hi, my name is Peter Cunningham. I'm here with my wife, Anastasia. She's the business owner in the neighborhood, and she'll talk more about herself in just a minute.
What do you do?
I am a software project manager by trade.
I feel like I don't have to introduce myself, but I own a bakery, which I'll tell you about later, and I brought cupcakes. So that's the best part. And these are my kids. Oh, sorry.
I'm Jonathan Rivera. I'm the recording secretary for Old Astoria Neighborhood Association, and I'm a freelance writer, stage manager, and pretty much jack of all trades.
Here we go. You can introduce your sister.
Okay, this is Victoria, and she likes to dance. And I'm Sophia, and I like to dance and sing.
And this is a little-known secret that with Anastasia, I used to work with her father. I'm a musician, and her father was one of the most famous singers from Greece that was ever in this country.
Hey, my name is Arya, and we're new to the neighborhood. We just moved here last year, and I have my own business. We design high-end embroideries that go on garments, bridal and so on.
My name is Peter. I am Arya's husband. I have my own civil structural engineering firm, and yeah.
Hi, I'm Julie, and this is my son Kian, and my husband Bob, who will talk in a minute. And we've been here for 12 years, but this is our first meeting of the association. So anyway, and I used to work in theater doing props and backstage stuff, and now I'm a librarian at the New York School of Interior Design.
Hi, my name's Robert Boyle. Julie and Kian, and I'm a theatrical carpenter. I build theatre scenery.
Good evening, all. My name is Frank Miller. I'm on the board of the Central Astoria Local Development Corporation.
Rudy Sacrese, active president of Astoria Homeowner Tenant and Business Civic Association, community board 1 members.
Thank you. My name's Grace. This is my husband, Nico. We're newer residents of Astoria. I'm a performer, singer, and my husband's an event manager. So, cool.
I'm good.
Yeah, we're good.
Hello, my name is Connor Hosford. I'm also a new resident to Astoria. I work in economic development.
Mohammed, resident.
Hi, my name is Liz. I'm a longtime Astoria resident. I'm coordinator for orthopedic surgery at Elmhurst Hospital.
Ernie Brooks, longtime resident, musician, bass player. We even played together at one point. And currently Queens rep for Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney.
Basil Gavalis, Holy Protection Cathedral, very long-time resident of Astoria, and I play no music.
But you sing in other ways.
My name's Armand. I work at Brooklyn Botanic Garden in IT. I've lived in Queens almost all my life. I've been in Astoria for 4 years. Right now I live in a studio. I'm looking for a 1-bedroom. Yeah. So if you have anything, let me know.
Okay, where are the brokers here?
I have nothing. My name is Anita Ned, and I'm a longtime resident of Astoria.
Same thing. Diane Turek, longtime resident. I'm also a certified dog trainer.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mariana, and I'm a cook.
Hi, my name is Maria. I am a behavior analyst, and I'm a counselor of the arts for special needs.
Hi, good evening all. My name is Joe Giansanti, longtime resident here in Astoria, an IT specialist at a college located in Forest Hills.
Hi, I am Jesse Hernandez and I work with Richard Sainz. And also in here.
Hi, I'm Gus. I live in Astoria for a year now, and I'm a software engineer.
Hi, I'm Erin. I've lived in Astoria for 9 years, and I'm a theater teacher at Bronx High School for Medical Science.
Hi, everybody. I'm Chris. I was born and raised here in Queens, and I'm with the Department of Sanitation, and I'll be speaking to everybody tonight.
Hey everybody, Joe Adamanelli. I work with Chris. I'm a community affairs liaison with sanitation, and to no surprise, born and bred in Astoria.
Hi, my name is Tony Foy, and I work at LaGuardia Community College, part of their LaGuardia Performing Arts Center. And if you didn't pick up one of these, please do. We have a nutcracker this weekend for children and a visit with Santa.
Hi, I'm Tony Rodriguez. Been in Astoria since 1965, and this is the second meeting I've come to. Last meeting was pretty interesting. Made me come back, obviously. I'm glad to be here. Want to get more involved in the neighborhood. With all the changes that are coming through, I want to have a little bit of a say.
Hi, I'm Ron Rhodes. I'm the warden and Eucharistic minister here at St. George's Church, and I've been in Astoria, actually, since 1976. If you look at that flyer that we have about St. George's, our concert is this Saturday. And then if you flip it over, it'll tell you about all of the things that we're doing over the holiday season.
Hi, I'm Beverly. I'm a member of the church here at St. George's, and I'm in Astoria for 40-plus years.
Hi, I'm Neil Hurden. I'm the co-chair of Friends of Whitey Ford Field. I've lived here 30 years, and for fun, I write restaurant reviews, and I've written over 400 reviews on Astoria-based restaurants.
Hi, Mark Goldberg, photographer for tonight and other times. Filmmaker, and my main film that I'm looking to work on is Life is Hell, Living and Working Under and Around the Elevated Train Tracks in New York City that needs people who live directly next to or under an elevated train so I can interview them with the train going by their window. So if you know anybody or you do live there, please grab me and I'll give you a piece of paper.
Yeah, Mark does a great job for us, and he helps doing photography throughout the community. So,
hi everyone, my name is Tamika. I'm a forensic toxicologist. I run a homeschooling program after school and a camp called Camp Wakanda. I'm also the new treasurer of the Friends at the Queens, the Long Island City branch library.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jamie Bean. I've been in Astoria about 10 years, and by day I run the Business Improvement District in Sunnyside.
Hi, my name is Sam. I'm new to Astoria, former organizer, and now just sort of moving heavy objects.
Hi, my name is Gigi, also known as Gail. I'm a vet technician, and I also work at Astoria Express School Bus.
Look this way at everybody. Good evening, everyone. My name is Vanessa Jones Hall.
My family been a member of Astoria since 1951. I am a member of the Community Board 1, Vice Chair of the Housing Committee, a member of the Environmental Committee. I've also been on our Resident Association of Astoria Houses for 24 years, and I love, love, love where I live.
I'm sorry. That's okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm a newbie. My name is Susie Tannenbaum, and I am Director of Immigrant and Intercultural Affairs for Queensborough President Melinda Katz. And I've come to talk to you a little bit about the 2020 census. And I've known Richard now for 18 years.
Yep.
It's my claim to fame.
You're my claim. Good. Well, thank you very much. So, again, if you found somebody here that you'd like to strike up a conversation with, it sounds like we have a lot of people in theater and business here. So, this is a very strong arts area. We have 3 big anchor institutions, Socrates, Noguchi, Welland Mural Project down in our neighborhood. We're blessed with all those. So if we all organize in the arts, I'm a musician myself, who knows what we can create, We're looking to create an arts district. We made those proposals down here. It's something that right now politically is difficult to get through, but we do hope to see it happen. So the Astoria Waterfronts Arts District. So we do hope to see that. I want to have, between 1 and 10, how good was the food? 9. Okay, good. Well, we want to thank Brooklyn Harvest Market. They're the new supermarket that opened up on Hallett's Peninsula. Okay, they're in the first floor of the first Hallett's Point building that went up on between 1st and 2nd Streets. And I think that we should support them. I know that they're very cost effective. They do give to the community, and I think it's very important that you go and check them out. If you haven't, you're going to find that they're really a nice facility, and we want to thank them for all that they do for us. Also, Costco also donates every month. So, I think that from last meeting there was something interesting that happened. Gigi, where'd you go? Where are you? From the bus company. Yeah, right here. Okay, good. So what happened we had some issues. We had the NYPD transportation unit down here, and one of the things that was brought up was the fact that too often cars are passing school buses and ignoring the stop sign. Now, this is something that can happen. You brought this up in the meeting last month, and one of our other members here actually found an article about an extended arm that actually goes out another 5 or 10 feet. I'm not sure exactly how many feet, and it's proven to be much, much more effective in getting cars to stop. So I know that you could tell us what's happening with that at this point.
Gail. Also known as Gigi. So as of the last we spoke last month, and you gave me those recommendations, we sent it over to the DOT, Department of Transportation. They said they're going to look into it, and I hope they do something. We have reached out again because we haven't heard from them, so we're just trying to reach out. Hopefully they do something because we did send them the suggestion, which hopefully they do approve it, and we'll see from there. We'll see. Hopefully we can make this change to make it safe for all the kids and for people on the road, not just for the kid, everyone in the roads.
Okay, good. Also, what else is new? We've had the start of the alternate side parking, okay, which we fought for 20 years here, and it finally went through. And so far, we've had very few complaints. What we are finding is that people have told me that it's actually easier for them to find parking now because we've gotten rid of the cars that sit for months at a time, like they always did. We used to be the warehouse for all the cars in Queens. So I think it's going well. If there's any issues, we do have the sanitation coming up here but in a minute. But that's one thing that we feel very strongly about. Also, there was an op-ed that was published last month in the Queens Eagle, Daily Eagle, from our association concerning bike lanes. If you know all the new bike lanes that have been funded, there's, I guess, 250 miles worth of lanes that are going to be funded. And what we suggested in this is that as important as the lanes are, just as important as traffic controls on these lanes. And you can see it online on our website. But what we're trying to say is that there should be dedicated traffic controls for these bike lanes themselves. So that right now, the way it is, if you're looking at a stoplight, okay, you're driving down the road and it goes green, and so you can make a right turn. If a bike is coming up to you on the right side and they see the same light and they're following that same light and they go straight, that's a disaster waiting to happen. So what we're trying to do is create timed lights so that the cars and the bicycles and scooters and everything, all this alternative transportation stuff, is treated separately so that they have their own signals. So I think that's just as important. And yes, what's your name?
Sophia, and how do you guys have the power to do that?
It's a civic lesson. Our country is based on democracy. It's based upon people expressing their views, letting their elected officials know, and hopefully these elected officials will follow through on them. And if enough people feel strongly enough and the elected official doesn't, then he loses his job. Simply put. So. Okay, so I guess any questions right now of anything that's going on right now in general? Okay, then I think I'd like to start with bringing up Chris Velez and Joe Ottamanelli from the Department of Sanitation.
How you guys doing? My name is Chris Velez, and this is my partner Joe. We work for the Department of Sanitation. We're very, very happy to be here. Like we said, I grew up here in Astoria. Joe still lives here, and it's just a great community. So it's really nice to just be able to come out here and take part in this and do a little education, answer some questions, help you out however we can. Just a quick little synopsis about myself. I'm an actual sanitation worker. I've worked with the Department of Sanitation for quite a while, and I'm one of the very few people, I think, who can actually say they love their job, and I really do, and I hope that my presentation here and all the questions that I answer shows that. So I'm going to start with just quick rundown of the basic things that I think everybody should know, the basic questions that I get asked, and then from there I'll take any questions that you guys may have or concerns, and I'll also stay after in case we're running out of time. I'll give up my card, whatever you need. If you have any personal questions you need to ask me, you can always ask me after. I always stay till the end of the meeting. So I'm just going to start with residents, and it also applies to commercial businesses. One of the big rules that I think everybody either knows or doesn't know is that the responsibility with sanitation of the homeowner is to clean in front of their property up until the curb and then 18 inches into the street. The reason for that extra 18 inches is, as you know, you guys have alternate side now. The 18 inches are for the places that there is no alternate side. When a broom cannot get down the street, all of that garbage tends to sit in the front of the premises. This is just a way to make sure that when the wind blows, it doesn't blow to your neighbor, it doesn't blow down the street, it doesn't continue to accumulate. If we put alternate side everywhere, as you've seen, it does tend to work. The problem is that in certain areas we can't do that for either it's just not possible or because then we'd have to have everybody shifting all around, which was what made the alternate side here so great. We made a comprehensive outline of the areas that needed it, the areas that didn't need it, the areas that it would be most effective, and it's been, as Rich said, very successful. We've ticketed those that haven't moved, and for the most part, everybody in the community has really stepped up, moved their cars, and I think that even if you look in the street, we've driven around several times. Once it started, the streets do look cleaner. So it's worked out really well. So we're really grateful for that. But like I said, for the places that don't have it, and even if it does, the 18-inch rule still applies. So it's from your whole property up onto the curb and then 18 inches into the street. All residents are required to clean that. The 2 times, I always like to make sure that everybody knows the rules, even if it's a bit of a cheat. The 2 times that we are only allowed to give out tickets are between 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. and 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Those are the only 2 times that we can get, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Those are the only 2 times that we go out and we look to make sure that that in front of your property is clean. That's not saying that you can't get a ticket for something else, like keeping out your garbage at the wrong time, but in terms of cleaning your property, those are the only 2 times that we will write a ticket. Makes it a little bit easier to monitor and keep yourself protected. We do know that when wind comes, if some neighbors are not as clean as others, it does tend to blow their garbage onto your property. It is the reason I always like to at least give you guys an option that you can try and protect yourself. Like I said, those are the 2 times. I know the 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. is a little bit more difficult because either you work, if you're fortunate enough to not be home, whatever it is, or if you're fortunate enough to be home, you can at least try and look out your window at that time and see if there's anything there. Maybe if you have a neighbor to your left, to your right, that you're able to help out. If you see a cup or something that may get them a fine. If you're able, maybe you can help them out. But those are the 2 times that we write tickets for that. The second thing is that I want to go through is, let's go with this. So e-waste. E-waste is a big issue. Most people don't actually know this. Some do. If you do, that's awesome. We've been doing a good job then. Electronic waste, TVs, computers, your old phones, all of that can now be picked up right in front of your house. All you have to do is call 311, make an appointment. We'll come right to your house and pick it up. We'll give you a date, and that's it. Very simple. It's a program that we've been trying to get rolling for a while. It took a little bit of time because we needed to make new routes, get trucks for it. It's ready to go. So all you have to do is make an appointment. We pick it up. Good to go. There was a little bit of a delay because it was a new program, and everyone's throwing out their whole basements, their TVs, their attics. I mean, things that people have been saving for 50 years. I saw a curb full of those, big back TVs. There was 6 of them on a curb, and I was like, I didn't even know these things still existed. But, people are cleaning house, and, that's what we want. We want to take all of this. I also want to stress that when it comes to your computers and stuff, a lot of people are more concerned about their information. Nothing here is reused or recycled in the sense that we take those hard drives and sell them off. Everything is put into a machine and shredded. It is shredded for the parts of the metal, the glass, the plastic, things like that. All of your information is completely destroyed. It does not go anywhere. It does not go overseas. And all of our recycling is done in-house in New York City. We do not ship it anywhere else. So that is just a little safety issue when it comes to making sure that your privacy is protected. The next thing is drop-off sites. So a lot of us have questions usually about where can I get rid of the things I have no idea how to get rid of. Those include paints, oils, fluorescent lights, old drugs, needles, whatever the case is. It's definitely difficult sometimes to find pharmacies that will take old medication, old needles. Some do. We have online a portal that will take you to places that do, which I can give you that information. But in the event that you have other things that you're still not sure of, even tires, the weirdest things for the most part will be taken here. These are called special waste sites. There's one in each borough. The one here, it's a little far. It's College Point. It's not too far, but it's open every Saturday from 10 to 5 and the last Friday of every month, 10 to 5. This place will take just about everything. The only things they do not take are ACs and fridges, which is the reason I want to bring both of these up. Neither one of these here take ACs and fridges. The reason for that is because fridges and ACs have something called CFC in the back. It's the tank that makes it cold. It is a poisonous gas. Please never try and take it out for yourself. Not only is it dangerous, but it's also like a $10,000 fine. And I don't know about you, but I cannot afford a $10,000 fine. So please do not take it out. All you have to do for fridges and ACs is call 311. Put it out on the curb. They'll give you a date. You put it on the curb. Someone will come, professional, take it out. It'll get taken with your recycling. But like I said, anything except for those 2 things can be taken here. Even old batteries, car batteries, things like that, computer batteries can all be taken here. And next is organics. Yay! It was. I'm going to be honest. It was not my favorite program going into this. I think anybody who works, and they don't work yet. They're still good. They don't have to worry about working, and they got to go to school and work hard. Only a few more years. See, she's ready to go. I like your style. It's one more thing you have to do, and it can be kind of annoying to go out there and be like, oh, I got to do my garbage. Then I have to separate my metal. Then I have to make paper, and now they want me to do organics. I have to do it because I work for them, and I have to talk about it, so they checked on me. But I will say impartially and honestly, while I hated it, and it is a little bit difficult to get into the rhythm in the beginning, it's incredible how this program works, because you will see your regular trash go from this to this, and your organics go from this to this. Everything we throw out, as crazy as it sounds, is something that is compostable. All of this goes to a special waste site, and all of that is turned into mulch, into soil, into things that is reused within the community, in the parks, in schools, and we don't keep that as profit. We give that out. So the summertime comes, we have full events that you guys, if you guys garden, if you guys know parks, if you guys know people who need it, we give it away for free. I mean, like tons and tons of dirt. So this is all things that go back to the community. And all this stuff used to go to the landfills and sit there and create greenhouse gases and just be a waste. And now we found a way to do it. The other thing I want to point out is this is not mandatory right now, but it will be. At some point, it will be. The reason it is not mandatory is, as I'm sure you know as New Yorkers, if we force something down your throat, you will kick us and tell us we will not do this. So we make it not mandatory for the simple fact that we want you to get into it. And like I said, it's not the easiest thing. It's a routine. It's something you have to get into. So we want to give you the opportunity to get into it. But like I said, it will be mandatory. So I do suggest that if you have it, play with it. Get used to it. It will save you when it is mandatory from getting any fines or doing anything wrong. And like I said, it's an incredible program. I was not on board in the beginning. I'm a convert. I think it's an amazing program. And once you see it, it's incredible. Also, the more people that do it, again, because the garbage shrinks, right now collection is 2 times a week. Realistically, organic should be 2 times a week. The more people that use it, it will switch, and you will see a change. Everything's going to change. Organics is going to end up being 2 times a week. Recycling is going to be 2 times a week. Amazon and Chewy, those paper boxes are everywhere. They're going to kill us one day. We're talking like 10 tons of paper a day just in one truck, so it gets a little crazy. And last but not least, go ahead.
The organic collection.
Yes.
Was supposed to start here and then it didn't. What's the status of that?
It's in certain areas and not. So what it is we're currently with the organics program. It's not citywide, it's district-wide. So like I said, since it's a new program, it's rolling out place to place. The only place it's not really fully available is like Manhattan, because of all the big buildings. We're still working out the fundamentals of all that. But district-wide, it is slowly coming around. So like around here, there are parts of Queens that have it, and the rest we're moving our way down. If you guys want to know like more detail about when, I could probably get a date of when it's going to be coming here exactly. But as of right now, like I said, it is slowly moving down. We have to make all those brown bins, so it takes a little bit of time for us to ship them all out and get the program running. But like I said, it is going to be everywhere. We are going to give everybody time to prepare for it. We have brochures, so I would, even if it's not here or you do have it, I suggest just take them. It's just good to familiarize yourself with what the program is. And last, sure. Oh, look at that question. Go ahead. What's your name? Yeah, what's your name? Go ahead.
Sophia. And so last year in 5th grade, we did Project Citizen, and we did it on composting. And what you said about the organics kind of sounds like that. So does what you do with the organics, does it go to gardening or?
Exactly what it is.
So it's basically composting.
Exactly what it is.
Okay.
All right. I think she's going to take my job. She's pretty smart. I don't know. That's exactly what it is. So, or the organics program is composting. That's just like you learned. That's what we do, but we do it without the whole city. All the millions and millions of people, we take all their garbage and we compost them and turn it into soil. And like you said, we give it to the parks. We give it to people so they can garden. We make mulch for the trees, the little wood chips. We do all that. And that's, like I said, it all goes back to the community. You're smart. I'm going to talk later. I might have a job for you. So finally, last but not least, I always save everyone's favorite last, snow. Come on, everybody here at some point loved snow. I know I was one of them. I used to go out there with my mom. I used to have my little red shovel, and I would shovel away at snow. And now I can honestly say I hate snow. I literally cannot stand. I see the reports, and I'm just like, not again. But it's a fact of life. We live in New York. It is what it is, and I think anyone who's grown up here has learned to accept it. Even if you're new to New York, and you get a rude awakening really quick because you can't escape it. So with that being said, snow is coming. It might even be coming tonight. I'm not even sure. Who knows? You know, it comes and it goes. So the big thing I like to say is with snow, anybody who knows the routing times on here, it says 7 a.m. to 4:59 p.m. You have 4 hours to shovel. I always like to start with that because, let's be honest, again, if you've lived in New York and it starts to snow and you get out at 5 p.m., you probably will not be home for 3 hours. It is just the way it works between the trains and the traffic and the cars. That is basically a general guideline. We put that out there not to say if the snow stops at 4:58, we will not probably be out there in 4 hours to tell you did not clean your snow. That is a rule basically made for the people that do not want to shovel, the people that are not good neighbors, the people who do not clean. The premise of that is to make sure that everybody understands that once the snow stops, it's your responsibility to go out there and clean it. We don't necessarily need you to clean in 4 hours, but you have to get home and clean that property. There's several reasons for it. One, the rule is to clean 48 inches, side to side, make a nice little path. That's for the handicap. That's for people pushing strollers. That's for people who want to hold hands and walk hand in hand and stare at the beautiful snow that's on the ground. Whatever the case is, that 48 inches needs to be done. We understand that people work. We understand that people have time. And I can guarantee you as a sanitation worker, when that snow coming down, whether it stops or not, we don't care right now whether you've shoveled or not right at that moment, because we're still cleaning those streets, making sure that, everyone's able to get home. But it's everybody's responsibility to make sure it's cleaned as soon as possible. At least if it stops at night and you can get home, it is your responsibility to make sure that it gets cleaned before the daytime, before everyone gets out of the house, tries to get to work. I also want to remind everybody that if you slip or if someone slips and falls on your property, you are responsible for it. And you can't say, oh, sanitation didn't clean. We don't clean that. That is your responsibility. We're trying to protect you as well as everybody in the community. So I think that is probably the most important thing to always remember. The second thing I always hear when it comes to snow is, I just shoveled my driveway. Why did the plow come down the block and block my driveway again? I understand that, and it sucks because, let's be honest, you just shoveled and now there's mounds and mounds of snow in front of your house. Nobody wants to deal with that. The reality is that it's just there's no better way. The way the trucks are, they're these big giant machines. And then in front of them, there's these big giant plows that have now been adding to them. They're tilted to the right because most of our turns are right. So we need that bit of an angle in order to turn. There are plows called V plows that are essentially exactly like they said. They're V. The problem with those is that they're super heavy and they go down the street with such force. Most of the time they do more harm than good because they break the cement. They end up kicking things up, hitting cars, hitting people. It's not pretty, and we already know the streets of New York are not great. There's enough potholes, and we're not trying to make more of them. So we apologize that we blocked the driveway. The only thing that I can suggest, and I try and always suggest to people, is do not throw your snow in the street. That age-old myth that, the cars will stomp it down. No, it will not. It will push it down, and then we will come and push it back onto your property. Try and throw it onto, not the sidewalk, but that little patch of grass that you have. Make a mound, make it high, get it out of the street so that when we come, we do not push it back onto your property. And if we do, please don't yell at us. We're very sorry. I live, unfortunately, on the right hand of the block. So after my 12-hour shift and all of my shoveling, my dear friends come and block my driveway too. So I deal with it just like you guys, and I do apologize. Honestly, if there was a better way, an easier way, we would do it. As of right now, this is the technology we have, and it's the best thing that we have. The only other thing I could think of quickly to mention is when it says it's going to snow and it doesn't snow and you walk outside and there's a beach of salt, everyone's favorite thing. That is not something that we do because we want to do. After the last snowstorm, that there was a mess in the streets and everything, council members, communities, they wanted a more proactive approach. And that proactive approach is now the minute we hear that there's snow, we salt. That's just mandated by the city. It's not something that we've chosen to do. It's something we are told to do. So again, another thing, please don't yell at us. We're just trying to salt the streets. I will mention that we are starting a new program. We are going to be using something called liquid salt. That's not the proper term. I'm just saying it's liquid salt, but it's basically liquid salt. And it's new. It's going to be in tankers. It's going to be going around the streets. You may see it. It's like a big tank, and it will spray exactly what it is, liquid salt. The hope of that is that it doesn't have that kick up of the salt, like the dust, and hopefully it creates a layer that stops the snow from coming down when it's not as heavy from accumulating as much. Again, heavy snowfall, we're going to salt only because that's the best way, it's the most effective way, but the nice little liquid salts will create a coating, and again, if it doesn't snow heavy, it's something that you don't see a beach and gets kicked up. Other than that, I'll take any questions, and you guys are awesome, and she's my new partner, so if you guys get mad at me, I'm sending her after you, okay?
Okay, so who does have questions? Raise your hands, okay?
Guys, if you have any questions, please make sure that you sign in. It is vital when transcribing the minutes. We want to make sure that everybody is referenced properly. We want to make sure first and last names are correct. We do not want to have anyone's name misspelled or last name omitted because we didn't have any sign-in.
Mark Olberg. First question is on the recycling.
Sure.
When you put something out, do you have to put a sign on it saying blah blah blah? There's a schedule because I've
No.
seen that on the sidewalks.
No, you don't have to put anything out. Your scheduled date, we know where it is as long as it's in front of your house. You just put it out and we take it and that's it. No special signs. We don't have tags, anything like that. Just make sure you put it out at the time and the date that they say.
Well, actually, my name is Dilcia Perez.
Hi.
Hi. You could tell me what can we do on 30th Avenue between 14th and Street and 21st Street, right by the school. There's a constant pile of trash, and sometimes it blocks the sidewalk. I sent some pictures in today, a bit late, but it's so I don't know what can be done about that.
What kind of trash is it?
I mean everything. It's not just.
Is it like a pile up like stuff that's just like dumped out, or is it like a building putting their trash to get picked up?
I don't know if it's a school. I don't know if it's other people putting their trash in there, but it's right next to a park.
Okay.
Where the kids are. It's right next to a school.
Okay.
So,
you said you have pictures?
Yeah, I sent some pictures.
After we finish up here, if you just want to see me, I can give you my information. If you could email me those, and I can take a look at it, and we can figure something out. Again, without seeing it, it's a little bit difficult for me to say whether it's a drop off, like someone just dumped their stuff there, or if it's a school or something. There's multiple avenues, but that's not a big deal. Like I said, I'll give you my information, and we'll take care of that. No problem.
By the way, if anybody does send correspondence, like to sanitation or any department, CC us in if they can so we can follow through at OANA. So.
Oh, yeah, and I also want to mention, I think she wanted to go next, but I also want to mention whenever you have an issue, like I said, I don't have any problem giving out my information. It's my job, and like I said, I enjoy helping and making sure everything gets done. But I should preface that by always saying, always start by calling 311. Always. I know sometimes people think it's redundant. Sometimes people think it's a pain in the butt. I get that. However, the fact is that record is a written record for us to follow. And from there, we can escalate it and make things happen a little bit easier. When there is that written record, it helps us. It helps you. So always, like I said, I have no problem anybody calling me, emailing me. Always start with the 311. It saves a lot of time and makes our job and the effectiveness of our job so much easier.
Yeah, Beverly Jordan. Just to piggyback on the lady. It seemed like somebody's doing personal dumping because
Okay.
there's a mattress and
Right. That's why I
other
asked,
things.
exactly.
Yeah.
See,
So-
if that is the case, the reason I need to see what it is in those kind of situations, another thing, like for things like that, if you have areas where you're unsure, where you have an issue, the best thing is always to take pictures and send it to us, because from there we can determine what it is. For something like that, we can try and send out the sanitation police to investigate it, see if there's any kind of correspondence that we can track it back to. Sometimes, as weird as it sounds, we can have like a sting, have them camp out there and try and catch the people dumping, because a lot of times it's the same people dumping in the same spots because they continue to get away with it. So they're thinking they're always going to get away with it until they get hit with that big fine. And then it's like, oh no, now I have to pay this. And now, of course, I'm just going to find somewhere else to dump it. But then it's not your problem anymore. Then I'll track them down somewhere else. And that's how it is. But it moves over. I mean, that's the nature of our job. They're just going to keep jumping around and keep trying to hide it from us. But I mean, as long as people communicate with us, give us the opportunity. We don't know where things are unless you tell us. We can't catch them and find them. So that's why I always say 311, send us some pictures. We'll do our best to take care of it. Oh, sorry. I'll get to you next.
I had a buildings on 18th Street on 18th Street by the park there. They somebody moved out on an apartment and they left a broken bed, wood bed, and you chased there. The sanitation didn't pick it up. It was Monday. They picked up garbage. They didn't pick it up. They left it there.
Okay. Well, again, for that's something we could just discuss. I can have someone pick that up. The reason that they may not have picked it up is that certain days of the week is bulk days. The problem is that at the beginning, depending on the day that you have bulk, we have special trucks that go out. We can't take big items on the trucks because the way the trucks work, inside there's a blade. It's like something that pushes the garbage to keep it compacted. And when we put big items like that, it just fills up the truck more, and then that means that we won't be able to finish the route and collect everybody's garbage. So for that, it may be that they didn't pick it up because they didn't want to pack the truck and not be able to pick up the rest of the garbage. So they may be waiting for the bulk day, whenever that is, to go and pick it up, which may be further in the week. But for something like that, I can always call the super and have him come out and pick it up, or figure out what day they are going to go pick it up. It's just a matter of me calling and taking care of it. So we can speak after as well.
Okay, thank you.
No worries.
Further to that, though, if it is left out there, is there any chance that person would be ticketed?
In those situations, I'm going to be honest, it's kind of hard unless we catch them. That's not really something that we can find.
Well, that's what I mean. If you, as a responsible homeowner, put something out correctly,
correct,
but you guys didn't pick it up, so it's sitting there a day later or 2 days
right.
later.
In those situations, you have 24 hours to call us and let us know that you have a missed pickup. Again, 311. Can be your best friend. Always, if you have to wait 24 hours, because again, our schedules change, because depending on, let's say it's beginning or end of the month, we know that those are the biggest and heaviest days, because those are the days that people move out, people move in. So the trucks may get full and not get to your block at your normal time, which means now you may be on a 4 to 12 shift that's going to get picked up, or a 12 to 8 shift. So sometimes it shifts a little bit. So that's why we ask for 24 hours to rectify the situation. If within 24 hours you do not see that we have picked it up, just call 311, let us know that, we have a missed collection. We'll send someone out and pick it up. It also protects you from getting a ticket, because now you have a reference number that's saying, hey, I called. That's not my responsibility that they didn't come. And again, you can also call us and let us know, and I can always send someone out to pick that, to get it rectified. It's another step of protection, but always 311. I can't stress that enough.
Neil Hurden, co-chair, Friends of Whitey Ford Field. So I have a question, because this is obviously very new regarding the e-waste. You clarified for homeowners, but what happens if you live in an apartment? In an apartment, you put the garbage out, you put it into various different piles, recyclable, you've got blue bags, etc. What exactly do you do for the e-recycling, because you're dependent on the super to put out the garbage? How are we responsible for putting out, say, a DVD player on the side calling 311? I mean, how does that work in the context of an apartment building?
Okay, so for apartment buildings, it's a little bit different depending. If it's 10 or more units, what we have are these things called cages. They're like they're not very big, but they're metal structures that we would then talk to the super. You as well can talk to the super. We put them inside the buildings, and then all of your all of your e-waste material will go into there, and it's at no expense to anybody else, so no expense to the super, no expense to the building, no expense to yourself. It's just a bin that we put so that everything can go in there, and then once it's full. All the super has to do is call us, and we pick it up. If it's under 10 units, honestly, you could probably just call 311. Not probably. You can call 311, make an appointment, and just put it on the curb, and we'll come pick it up. The 10 unit thing is more because in big buildings we can't service a building that has 15 residents, and then we make 15 extra appointments on different days to come there. It just ruins the route. So that's the reason we have the cages. If you're under 10 units, it shouldn't be a problem. Just call 311, tell them you have an e-waste pickup, put it out on the curb on your date, and we'll come and pick it up. But anything over 10 units, like I said, if you have any questions, that's something, again, you can also speak to me after. I can get your information. We could speak to your super, whatever the case be, and we'll work it out.
It's Aria Foster. I have a
Hi.
quick question about the organics collection.
Mhm.
We have a property in Kew Gardens, and we got the brown bin
Okay.
for that. So I have a question: what kind of bags go in there, and where do I get those bags?
That's a good one. Okay, so originally, and this is where sanitation gets so fun. Originally, when we rolled out our organics program, like anything, it's new and exciting, and we got a little ahead of ourselves, and then we said bags, and then we realized, oh boy, the machines can't take bags. So then we said no bags, then we said bags, then we said no bags, then we said bags. And it got very confusing. So it's very hard to get people on board when you confuse them. The official rule now is any bag. Whether it's a garbage bag, a plastic bag, any bag you can think of, whether you tie a few bags together, as long as it doesn't come out, we'll take it. The reason for that is originally we didn't have the machines capable of taking the material out of the bag. Now, and it's pretty incredible. We have machines that will literally, when you throw the garbage bags into the machine, it's able to tell what's a bag and rip the bag out and take all the material out of the bag, and then it throws the bag away. Sadly, plastic bags are not reusable. Any place that says that, hey, we recycle bags, I'm going to be honest, I haven't really seen any place that's able to recycle bag. It's such a degraded piece of plastic that it's really not recyclable. That is why also coming May 1st, 2020, plastic bags will no longer be available in supermarkets. Paper bags will be 5 cents. So we are trying to get rid of that because it's such a waste. It's such a harm to the environment, and it literally just goes everywhere. So for that's the reason that we're doing that next step. It's March 2020. We give out free bags. So if you see us over the summertime, we give out the little orange bags. Come over, grab a bag. It's free. You can put all your groceries in it. We know that it's a bit of a change, but please start getting used to carrying the reusable bags because, like I said, it's something that's already in law. It's going to happen. We're giving you the time to get used to it, March 2020. But any bag.
Yeah, I hope this isn't a waste of a question, but the street sweepers, I'm always skeptical about how they actually work.
Okay.
If you could just talk about that.
You got it. Yeah, that was a great question. You didn't waste a question.
Joe Page.
Joe, that's a good question. Joe, this is Joe. So the street sweepers.
We had discussions on that.
Yeah. So the street sweepers are actually they're pretty cool if you actually look at it from an engineering standpoint. So you have the two brooms on the side, right? And they sweep like this. Sorry for my little model. This is basically how they sweep, right? And they shoot a little bit of water out. This is my water, right? So they shoot water out. Hopefully, for the most part, they're constantly filled up. The water is to keep the dust down. So when the little broom is doing this, it doesn't shoot the dust out. Underneath, there's a set of inside, I should say, there's a set of stairs, kind of like escalators that go like this constantly around. Underneath, when this spins, I tell you, it's a whole thing. So you just bear with me. So as this spins, it kicks up all the material, the dirt, the bottles, the things, right underneath. Inside, there's another little broom that's going like this. That is kicking it up into the elevator. There's basically a suction, and it sucks it up, and the elevator just continues to cycle it into the whole back piece. I feel like I'm making a really weird like thing here, but it cycles it into the back container, and that's where all the material goes. So it looks like it's not really doing anything except spinning the garbage around, but really the whole mechanism is underneath. That's where the broom that kind of separates it is. That's where the ladder is, and then everything is sucked up into it. And it can take just about anything. The only thing it tends to have some issues with is like twine and things that wrap around the ladder. But for the most part, dirt, cups, big things, no concrete and stuff like that. That actually breaks the wheels too. So we try to avoid that. So if there's like concrete or something crazy on the ground, we do sweep around to avoid it. But for the most part, that's how it works, and it sucks it up. And it actually does work pretty effectively. Yeah, and also I just want to point out, if you ever see one, please be careful. I know that they look like they have a lot of glass and stuff, but the things that most people don't realize, and this is one of the benefits of being a sanitation worker I can explain to people, is that if you actually ever have a chance and look at the driver, he is not sitting on your traditional left. He is also not sitting on the right. He is sitting right in the middle. It is really weird to drive right in the middle because you shift kind of right and left. And if you ever look at the side, he has 6 mirrors. The reason for that is that thing is filled with blind spots. It is very loud, but it's also very dangerous. So always, please be careful. Please be careful with yourselves, with your kids, if you're riding a bike, your pets. Pets like to jump out. They see the little spinny thing. We do not want to grab a pet. It is and those are sharp metal little spindles. So just please be very careful. If you're in a car, do not cut in front of it. I don't even want to tell you how many cars that try and cut in front of it and will lose their tires and half the side of their car just off the metal spins. So it is a very dangerous machine, and it does a great job. It will pick up the thing. But I just want to stress, especially now with all the bicycles and things like that, it's a dangerous machine. Do not cut in front of it. It's just not worth it. And like I said, there's a lot of blind spots too, and I've seen a lot of accidents with it, and I don't want that. Any other questions?
I got one question, and then it's a constant issue that we've had for many years. It's the lack of trash cans, particularly on residential streets, but also on even some commercial streets. Mm-hmm. We end up with a lot of, as we were discussing it earlier, I was hoping she'd bring it up. We end up with a lot of
she was getting ready.
You never raised your
hand.
To it. So anyways, she's, as a matter of fact.
That's it. He's calling
Why don't you,
That's because you didn't want to say your name before. Uh-huh.
Diane Turek.
Hi, Diane.
I live on 30th Road, right off of Vernon Boulevard.
Okay.
I walk my dog every morning, afternoon, at night. I walk from 30th Road all along up to Queensbridge with my dog. Not one garbage pail. Meanwhile, as I'm walking, you got poop-a-scoop bags. People don't pick up after their dogs. People eating, throwing their food all on the floor. It's disgusting. I feel like I live in a pigsty. Mm-hmm. Who do I complain to? I got one garbage pail from my councilman.
Okay.
Took me 2 years. And that was the Parks Department.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I mean, listen, it's my first question, that's a little scary, but I got this. Okay. So, here's the thing. When it comes to our bins, the reason they are not on residential streets is because they are not for residential streets. It's just that simple. And I know and I'm getting to that. I just want to point out, because we did discuss that, that we did bring up that there were certain areas that they wanted to know about residential streets. So that's the first thing. The second thing, we don't have a problem putting the garbage bins in certain areas. The big issues that we tend to see are the misuse of the garbage cans. A lot of people, and you're right, it's horrible to see people throw the garbage on the floor, the poop bags. I worked in Manhattan, I've worked in Queens, I've worked with Brooklyn, I've worked in the Bronx. There's poop bags everywhere. We make our money off of poop bags at this point. And they get thrown everywhere. Garbage gets thrown everywhere. So if there's a specific area you want to look at, I can absolutely have someone go out and take a look and try and figure out if there's places we can put baskets. But I don't want to sit here and lie to anybody. I don't want to pretend that, we'll put baskets everywhere. The fact of the matter is there's a lot of places that we can't put baskets for one reason or another. But the common reason is that we've put baskets in certain areas, and people will come out of their house. Either they forgot to do their collection or their recycling, and they will Right, exactly. And they will throw it inside the basket. And the problem with that is that most people say, oh, that's not a big deal. They're just getting rid of their garbage. Yes, the thing is that basket trucks only come around once per shift because they have a route like a regular garbage truck, and they have to go around and make it around the city. So now this one person throws one bag. Now it's a quarter full. Another person throws another bag. Now it's a half to 3/4 fill. Now another person threw another bag for their garbage. Now it's full. And now someone comes and they have their garbage. So where do they put it? On the side. And now you have this on the side. And now then someone comes and sees that this place is full. Where they're going to walk to the next garbage can. And the cycle keeps going. And it's the reason that a lot of times we don't put it anywhere near residential streets. We try and keep it near commercial streets. And even places where we see that this abuse is happening, we remove the garbage can. And a lot of the times that tends to fix the problem because there's nowhere to put it. And most people will walk to the next garbage can and find it. However, like I said, if this is a common problem, if you see it on the floor, if there is an issue, I absolutely have no problem sending people out there to try and figure out if there's maybe a place or two that we can figure, put something there, trial basis, see how it works. But I'm being honest that if it is abuse, it will be removed. So like I said, afterwards, if you want to speak to me about it, I have no problem sending someone out there to do a little comprehensive exam of, where it's possible, what's, feasible within our guidelines. We could take that look. But I just want to preface that by saying any abuse in the pails, we have to get rid of it because it's not good for the community. Like I said, the wind, that garbage tends to blow on people's property, and then people get tickets, and now people are upset at us for why did we let that garbage build up. So I just want to make sure that everyone understands that that's the reason we do. We don't do things to harm people. We don't do things to, make it more difficult for you. This is years and years of us doing this, and that's the reason we have the rules that we have. But we can talk about it after for sure.
Okay.
The what? The small top. Which one? The silver one? The silver bullets? Sorry, we call them silver bullets. The ones that are like silver cages, and they have the small tops on top? Right. Okay. Well, that's what I'm thinking of. Those are cool. Yeah, because people can not stick their garbage in. The thing is that there's a little latch on the side, and people figured that out, and they just open it and they pull it out and they throw their garbage in, they put it back in, and they close it. And then now you don't see that it's full, and now right. So now people are putting it on top, and now it's just all around, and now it just starts to fall on the ground. So that's the problem with that, and we can't lock them because I've gotten that either. Because then every time we go, we have to unlock the garbage can. And it just takes forever, and we'd never have the routes done, and it tends to make more of a mess. And if the lock is broken, then that garbage sits there for a week, because remember, we're still the city. It takes a little while to fix things. But we've tried a bunch of things, and it's a little give and take with the community, but we're always willing to try new things and try and make it work. But that's the honest reason for the what we call silver bullets.
Okay, I'd like to thank you so much. If you have further questions, you can go over and see.
Yes, we'll be sitting right over there.
Chris will be sitting right over there. What?
Yes. Oh, wait, I just want to say happy holidays, and I want to thank my assistant here, Sophia, right? Sophia, the best assistant in the world. And, thank you for everything. Good luck. You too. Good luck with school. Stay in school. Do good. And happy holidays, guys. It was our pleasure to be here.
Okay.
Take care.
Huh? Sorry, I couldn't hear you. Hold on.
Oh, she got a shirt.
Hold on. Yeah. Go ahead.
So I'm actually, hi, my name is Cassandra Canello. So I'm actually one of the broom operators for this area. I also reside here. So I'm going to give some suggestions because as a broom operator, like he said, it's not easy. You're sitting in the middle. You're trying to watch out for people walking by, people's dogs coming, running, When it comes to leaves, when it comes to garbage, try not to leave everything in a pile because it doesn't pick it up. Usually it'll pick up whatever it can and then it scatters the rest. That's one. If you see twine, if you see rope on the ground, if you can do me a favor and any other broom operators and just pick it up and put it in the garbage pail, something like that, sometimes what it does is it wraps around and it'll prevent us from picking up the rest of the garbage down the block. So then we'll start leaving a trail and it looks like we're not picking up our garbage. Cars parked, if you can be good to the block and kind of just ask people to move to the side, it's harder for us to get around because then what we're doing is we're leaving the garbage under the car, but we're also leaving behind and in front of the car because it's a wide turn that we have to take. So if we all work together, we can definitely, I love the city. So I want to make sure that the city's clean, but, we definitely all have to work together. Do not yell at us, please, because we are doing the best we can, So, but if you do, if you have any questions, I'm going to try to come to the meetings more often because I want to make sure that all the blocks are serviced. Sometimes things happen with the brooms where they need to be serviced. We have to bring them back in. Maybe I don't get to hit a block, or something of that sort. But I'll try to come more often. So if you have any questions or anything of that sort, I'm here, So I just wanted to listen in before.
Good. Nice. Good job. Good job. Good. Okay, next. One of the most important things that we have to deal with in this city, extremely important, is the census. Briefly, and they'll go into this in more detail, but every dollar that we get from the government, from the federal government in particular, is based upon the census. And I think that this area in the last census was undercounted by a wide margin, and it really affected badly the revenues that we got. So that's why the upcoming census is so important. And because of this, we have two great friends here that are wanted to put together a presentation on this. It's Jamie Fabian, who comes to our meetings often, and Susie Tannenbaum, who I worked with for many years from the Borough President's office. So I'm going to turn the mic over to them, but this is serious and this is very, very important, so please take it seriously. Okay, each one a mic? How do you want to do it?
Are you good with the handheld? She's going to do her PowerPoint. What's up? Yeah. Okay. Richard. Yes. Thank you very much for inviting us. And Jamie, thank you for proposing that I come and join you. Wonderful to meet everyone. That is such a hard act to follow. Where is that presenter over there? You are amazing. I mean, you're a walking encyclopedia when it comes to sanitation. And I have to tell you that I'm feeling very sentimental because I was a recycling coordinator, educator from my neighborhood. I'm from Jackson Heights. That's where I grew up. That's where I live. 25 years ago, when the recycling law came out, I was one of 14 recycling coordinators, educators in the borough. And I would go to civic groups like this one with my big blue bag with my visual aids in it, my milk cartons and my, applesauce jars. And I would talk to people about the new recycling law. And I would get on the bus with that blue bag, and they call me the bag lady, and I was so proud. So you brought back a lot of good memories. Thank you. Okay, but I'm here to talk about the 2020 census together with Jamie. So as Richard mentioned, this is an incredible exercise in democracy that we all need to participate in. As you probably know, every 10 years, the U.S. Constitution mandates that every 10 years we count everyone living in the U.S., regardless of whether they're young, old, male, female, regardless of race, religion, ethnicity, citizenship status. Doesn't matter. Everyone who's living here needs to be counted for the reasons that Richard already mentioned. Number one, the census count determines how much federal funding will come to our borough and to your communities for essential services like schools, hospitals, libraries, and infrastructure like roads and bridges. It also determines how many Congress members are going to represent us for the next 10 years. And New York, not just Queens, but the state, is at risk of losing 4 members of Congress if we don't all get counted. So as I mentioned before, I'm Borough President Melinda Katz's Director of Immigrant and Intercultural Affairs. I get to do a lot of fun and interesting things and work with people like Richard. But I'm also the Borough President's point person for the 2020 census. And my colleague Tim and I coordinate the Borough President's Queens Complete Count Committee. Now, this is a network of trusted community advocates like you who are committed to making sure that their communities get counted in the 2020 census. Jamie Faye Bean is a member, a very active member of the Borough President's Queens Complete Count Committee. And I call Jamie a bridge because she is a leader in the business community and she participates on the Queens CCC Complete Count Committee. You can join our CCC if you want. Did everybody get one of these giveaway bags? We have various materials in there, and our friend Vanessa also put some materials from the Census Bureau in there. One is a brochure about the Queens Complete Count Committee. At this point, we're up to 115 trusted community partners. As I mentioned, you're welcome to join us. We meet once a month. The dates vary, but we would tell you what they are. Basically, there are just two criteria to become members of the CCC. One is you're active in your community, and two is that you'll do your very best to come to our monthly meeting. So let me know if you're interested, and we can send you a link to the application. It's really simple. And we really need more representation from this part of the borough, Western Queens. Okay. So the great thing about Queens is that we're the most diverse county in the U.S., right? There's no other place in the U.S. that has this many nationalities, racial, ethnic groups. But when it comes to the census, our diversity creates some unique challenges, right? And I want to just tell you about two of the challenges. Number one, our African American and Caribbean American communities citywide are always undercounted. Forgive me. Yeah. That's actually Jamie's. But we'll get to that in a sec. Okay, so two challenges. Number one is our African American and Caribbean American communities citywide get undercounted in every census, and we're concerned that this is going to happen again, and we need to work together to make sure that it doesn't happen again. In 2010, in Southeast Queens, which at the time was and still is predominantly African American, 51% sent the mail-in census form back to the Census Bureau. 51% out of 100%. We need to do better. Also, in this political climate, immigrants, a lot of immigrants are afraid to come forward and to fill out a questionnaire that's going to the federal government, right? Okay, this is a challenge. We need people who speak different languages and are familiar with different cultures who can go into those communities and spread the message that it's to everyone's benefit to get counted for the reasons that we already talked about. Okay, so I'm just going to share a few slides from the Census Bureau, and then I'm going to hand this over to Jamie. Census Bureau has three. They have a motto, they have a message that has three parts. Number one, the census is important. Number two, the census is easy. And number three, the census is safe. Okay, so I just want to go over those three slides with you. Okay, and where did I write the numbers of the slides? I'm not going to go through everything. Yeah. Keep going. Go to yes, perfect. Thank you, Jamie. Okay, 2020 census, why is it important? The federal government is going to allocate $675 billion in funding nationwide. And we need to get our fair share. And the only way we can do that is if everyone, we have 2.359 million people now living in our borough alone, right? And Borough President Katz is committed. That's why we started this Queens Complete Count Committee a year ago already. She's committed to having each of those 2.359 million people counted so that, as we said, we get the funding we need and we have the congressional representation that we need. So that's why it's important. Number two, the census is easy. Hopefully that's the next slide. Thank you. No, we'll get back to safe. Let's go to easy. Yes, okay. So for the first time in the 2020 census, there are 4 different ways that you can answer the questionnaire. Number one, you can answer it online. in the comfort of your own home. Number 2, you can answer it by making a phone call to the Census Bureau. You'll be getting their telephone number. Number 3, you can answer the traditional way by filling out the paper questionnaire and mailing it back in. And number 4, you can wait for an enumerator to come knocking on your door to ask you the 10 questions that are on the census form. Can I ask you for a favor? Don't wait for the enumerator to come knocking on your door. Why? Number 1, you probably don't want anyone coming to the door because you have enough people, soliciting for various things. But number 2, you are the person who can answer those questions best for yourself. You don't want someone from the Census Bureau coming and asking you questions and then interpreting them for you, right? You should be the one to answer those questions. Now we can go back to, oh, you know what? Go back, there was something else. No, go back to, it's easy. Okay. This is really important. Can everyone see this? The Census Bureau is never going to call you up or email you or come to your door and ask for your social security number. No, if somebody says they're from the census and they're asking you for your social, they're not from the Census Bureau. It's a fraud. They're not going to ask you for money or donations. They're not going to ask you for anything on behalf of a political party. And they're definitely not asking you for your credit card account number, okay? And we need you to tell this to your neighbors, particularly neighbors who maybe are, let's say, homebound and might think, oh my goodness, I don't want to get in trouble and I'm going to provide this information. No, the Census Bureau is never going to ask you that. Okay, now let's go to the last slide, actually the last of the 3. Which is, I'm so sorry, this is this one, right. The third reason why you need to answer the census, because it's safe. Okay, the U.S. Constitution, Title 13, provides that your information will be kept confidential. And census workers have to take an oath of confidentiality when they join the Census Bureau for life. If they reveal any data on individuals, they have to pay several $100s a fine, okay, up to $250,000, and they could go to jail. So this is really serious, and we need to also relay that message to our neighbors, that they do not have to worry that the government is going to get their individual data. Okay, let's go to languages. That was the next one. Yes, so the Census Bureau recognizes that our country is getting increasingly diverse, and they're making the census questionnaire available online and by telephone. Mail is not as many languages, in 12 different languages. And then, in addition, there are going to be language guides online, like telling people with instructions in 59 additional languages. So that's wonderful. Of course, here in Queens, our neighbors speak close to 200 languages, which is why, again, we're relying on our trusted community partners to help get the word out and help people to be counted. Let's go to the next slide. I think this is the last one I want to share with you. This is really important. This is when the census is going to be rolled out, okay? We're talking about 2020. In March of 2020, we are all going to get an invitation from the Census Bureau to participate in the census. Everyone who has internet access is going to get an email saying this is how you can answer the questionnaire. And later in the month, you're going to get a reminder letter. If you don't answer, in April, people will start getting the paper questionnaire, and they will get a reminder at the end of April. Then, from May to July, that's when the enumerators come. So keep in mind that March and April are the key months for participating in the census. And that is all I want to share with you. I do want to mention that in this bag, in addition to a very nice ballpoint pen, which I hope you can all use, there were two things I want to point out to you. One is that there is this wonderful handout from the Census Bureau, Census 101. We have it available in 14 different languages, so if you're interested in having access to either this English version or this handout in any of 14 different languages, you can email me and I will happily email those to you. So I have my business cards. I can distribute those. And I also want to show you that your giveaway bag includes this census true-false quiz, which if we had more time I would do with you, but I'm going to give you a clue. The answer to all of these questions is yes, true. So you can, does that make it easier? You can do this at home. You can talk to your relatives or your neighbors about it, and you can ask them the questions, see how much they know about the 2020 census. And I do look forward to working together with all of you. Richard, I hope we can keep in touch. And as we get closer to the census, thank you all very much. Okay. There is a question. And then Jamie is going to present. Yeah. That's okay.
Wait a second.
My name is Anastasia.
Hold on.
I don't need the mic, but I'll take it anyway. Hi, I'm Anastasia Cunningham. I'm just wondering if there's a plan for Greek to be one of the languages. The last census, the Greek people in Astoria were one of the most underreported communities because there was no translation, and it's super disappointing to see that there's still no translation because we're continue to be one of the biggest communities that reside in Astoria and now the rest of Queens. So just wondering if that's going to happen.
No, it's a really good question, and we were just talking about Greek in particular. We can ask our contacts to make the Census 101 material available in Greek. As for those 12 languages, those are based on nationwide statistics. What are the largest language groups, ethnic communities in the country? So that's kind of beyond the level of the borough. That's right. But we can get materials to be translated into Greek, definitely. So maybe, yeah. Yeah.
Excellent.
Were there other?
I just have a quick question
Yeah.
for you. I need some clarification on the fact that the census will not be asking the citizenship question.
Yes.
There are a lot of people concerned about that, especially in these communities. So.
Very, very important point. Thank you for bringing that up. That is correct. The census questionnaire will not include a citizenship question. There was a whole debate around that. That's one of the reasons why some of our immigrant communities are worried about the census, but that citizenship question will not appear on the census form as a result of court decisions. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, well, it's just part of this. It just goes straight into this.
Jamie
All
Bean.
right. Thank you, Susie. So, as Susie mentioned, I am part of the Borough President's Complete Count Committee, and I chair the subcommittee that covers our community board here in Astoria, Community Board 1 as well as Community Board 2, Sunnyside, Woodside. And by day, in Sunnyside, we've already started implementing a lot of the ground information, sort of prepping people for the census and educating them on some of these questions. To your question about the Greek language, I mean, we have many people on many groups on our subcommittee that are actually translating some of our materials into languages other than what was shown here. I know that we have one group that's working on a Nepali translation of some things, and so we are still looking for additional members from this area. So maybe we can take a look at what Greek organizations we could reach out to and see if that's something they could help supplement.
Would you look for translation credentials to see if they have degrees and official translating from language? I only ask because my sister has one.
Mm-hmm.
So I might have to text her and tell her.
Well,
So
we're really connecting primarily. Yeah, there's a vetting process, and there's also sort of funds that are being made available for some of these efforts. So Would love to connect with you about that. But I did want to just quickly tell you all about some of the things that we are doing in Sunnyside. And the reason I want to do this is I would love to connect with you all and see how we can begin implementing some of these here in Astoria as well. I think these are ideas that can be easily translated to our neighborhood. And this map can kind of give you an idea of the 2010 census, what the response, the self-count response rates looked like in this part of Queens. You know, I work here, and you can see it's a very hard to count community. It's a very multilingual global community, but look at Old Astoria here as well. So we are at severe risk of undercounting our population. There's a lot at stake. We were at a summit recently where someone said that, you know, we're out here trying to sell spinach to people. It's not exciting. No one wants to hear about the census. But trust me, it's fundamentally important. And this map will give you an idea of what that looked like 10 years ago, and we don't want that to happen again. So in Sunnyside, the Sunnyside Shines is the business improvement district for the neighborhood. So we are a partnership of various stakeholders really working to invigorate the economic life of the neighborhood. And if you're familiar with Sunnyside, we run along a stretch of Queens Boulevard, part of Greenpoint Avenue. And our community profile is not much unlike that of Astoria. It's a much smaller neighborhood, but our demographics are fairly similar. One of the things that we do in Sunnyside is we are very fortunate to have a couple of public spaces that we work in. We manage 2 plazas under the Elevated 7 train. We also work within our neighborhood parks. And I think that that's something, as we think about the census, public space activation is a really wonderful way to reach people. I mean, it's completely democratic. It's a way station for people. You know, I say a little bit later in this presentation, we have in the 7 train stops in Sunnyside, we have 14,000 riders a day going through our 46th Street station. So, you know, it's a great way to reach folks with information and education. This past fall, we did a lot of outreach, and what we did was we really piggybacked on the various public events we were already doing. So we did have pop-up markets happening in the plazas that really drew a lot of shoppers. We had cultural events, and in the center here, you can't really see what's going on, but this was an artistic activation, and that's another thing that we really look to do, is to see how can we take arts and cultural activities and use those as ways to support artists, support cultural organizations, but also really drive activity and residents to a specific space. And this is all stuff that we can implement here, and it's a great way to give a platform to our performers, to our various social organizations, while at the same time really preparing to get a complete count here in Astoria. We also are doing a lot of small business canvassing. We do that anyway, all the time. But especially now, we are in the process of putting together a commercial district needs assessment, which really is comprised of a lot of very intensive surveying of our businesses. So that has given us the opportunity to also sort of go out to our small business owners and provide them with some basic information on the census. And, you know, for us working with small businesses, we understand how crucial they are in our hard to count community, that we've got a lot of business owners within our small district. We know that our business owners speak over 20 different first languages, and their stores, their shops, those are way stations for a lot of people that, you know, often feel very vulnerable. And there is a lot of misinformation about, as was mentioned, the citizenship question and so on. And these really are sort of trusted brokers within immigrant communities here in Queens. So in terms of our fundamental principles and how we're approaching this, we are really working to engage our immigrant business owners in particular. They're major employers of individuals belonging to hard-to-count communities, and they're also really important way stations for those folks. They are culturally competent. And so we really work with our business owners to make sure that they have information in various languages on the census. But we are also looking at making those spots where people can come in and sign pledge cards, where they pledge to take the census when it's available. We are also hoping that we'll actually have some pop-up centers at some of our small businesses and incentivize folks to actually use those as a place where they can register their information, and in return, those small businesses will get a micro grant from us for their cooperation. We also understand that we have a lot of hard-to-count employees. I don't know if any of you remember last winter, almost to the date, we had a huge fire on Queens Boulevard. And my organization was in charge of really providing relief for the over 100 employees that were displaced by that fire. Many of those employees, very vulnerable folks working behind the scenes in the restaurant, in the hospitality business, and really finding some trusted employees within those businesses and establishing contact with them and understanding that they had a network of folks that they trusted and that trusted them. That was really crucial to us in getting those employees registered for the relief that we raised for them. And it's really the same principle with the census. I mean, you've got certain networks of people where there is that level of trust, and finding ways to really tap into that and leverage that to our advantage to make sure that all of this crucial information is getting out is really important. And finally, as I mentioned, we've got public space, and I think that can be a really powerful way to reach people. It's a very democratic space. It's super easy to table. We're also looking at the possibility of having semi-permanent pop-up centers in one of our public plazas where we would offer multilingual assistance in registering for the census. So again, here in Astoria, we've got some great public spaces. We definitely have areas of higher traffic. We have amazing small businesses. And these are all sort of resources that we can really tap into as we reach out to our community. And finally, we have a lot of really engaged groups like this one. There are youth groups, there are civic and neighborhood groups, faith organizations. There are really multiple touch points for getting the word out to residents. So we're already looking at how we can deploy partnerships with those organizations in Sunnyside, and would love to think about how we can do that creatively here in Astoria as well. And finally, I have my card here, but certainly, feel free to talk to me. Would love to hear from any of you about getting more involved in this effort. And yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Jamie and Susie. First of all, one thing I want to say before we go for questions is that what Sunnyside Smiles is today is something that OANA is projecting to do in the future. We'd like to get eventually a bid down here and run a bid. We already discussed the arts district we want to put together. It hasn't reached critical mass yet in terms of enough business to justify it, but we do see that happening down the road, and we sit here ready to start. So, and one other quick thing I want to say, I just want to introduce Victor Prada. He did the graphics for us. He donates his time, so I wanted to introduce him. And we also have the Chief of Staff for our Councilman Costa Constantinides here, Nick Rollison. And now I'd like to go out for questions.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Vanessa again. I'm also with the 2020 census. Ladies, you did a great job. But I also wanted to mention about the jobs that's being offered. Yes. The jobs that's being offered for the census, you can go online. Everyone have received this inside your bag. I also added some material. They was kind enough for me to do so. But the jobs that we are really looking to fill is the enumerators, which is also known as the census takers. That position is very important because we rely on the census takers to be the one to gather that data for us that we will need for the government to properly allocate the funding through the communities and the homes in which this money is necessary to be given. And if we don't get this information, it will also cause a problem with those communities and those homes will not be properly allocated funds to. So it's very important to let you know that to please apply for these positions. It will be always where you'll be located within your own community. It's best to be in your own community because you are a familiar face. Also, it's where that you will also be partnered. You will never go out there alone. If you ever feel that you're entering into an environment that you feel unsafe, trust your gut. And let your supervisor, whomever is your superior person of contact, let them know how you feel and that you feel you need to be removed from that situation. We never want you to go out there and feel unsafe. But we have other positions available like mine, recruiting assistant, as well as clerk, and other positions that you can go online and apply for. But the main ones we're looking just here in Queens and Long Island City all the way to Flushing, which is our area, is the caretakers, and they're looking to fill over 5,000 jobs just in this particular area because of the fact that too many of, from Astoria all the way to Flushing, which is Corona, Elmhurst. I was out there in Corona yesterday with the NAACP, trying to, at Langston Hughes Library, trying to put out the information, letting everyone know that how our communities are so undercounted. And I was so shocked to see and find out just how undercounted we are. So you know in the past 10 years how much our community has grown as far as cultures and ethnic groups has really risen very high just from Astoria all the way to Flushing. So I'm really looking forward to it, you all passing the word. You have the information. I have more cards on the table in front to let, to pass the word to your neighbors, your friends, family. You must be 18 years old, as well as you're going to go through a background check, as well as a fingerprint. But I encourage everyone, no matter what your background, to apply for these jobs. Please do, because if we don't have enough people, like Susan said, please do the online. That's a much quicker way, as well as the phone is another quick way. They still would do the mailing, which will take a little longer for the count, but online and the phone is the quicker way to keep the count going and how we will know how many people needs to be sent out in those communities as far as the caretakers for them to go ahead and go and reach out to you all. It also will be where you do not have to worry, once again, like these ladies said, worrying about somebody trying to tell your business or even try to find out who's in your household because they're going to tell immigration or they're going to tell your landlord or they're going to contact Social Security. That information has nothing to do with them. It's solely just for the count of funding. And that's all it would be. When Susan mentioned that we have to be sworn in, we were sworn in, and our swearing in is for life. That means even once this job is over, we have taken a vow, an oath, to make sure that we keep this information sacred forever, because we want everyone to feel comfortable of knowing that all the information gathered is your personal information and it will always be safeguarded. So please, if you just pass the word, and I encourage you all, even tonight, it's easy to just go online, present a profile. You will receive an email from the censors, and it will be where you will be instructed where to go from there as far as continuing on your online application process. Everyone will be properly trained of not only the history of the census and how it got started, but also how to do your job, so you will be well armored when you go out there to educate the public of why you are here collecting this information from them. Thank you.
Can I mention do you want to just... That was so important, Vanessa, and jobs is the number one, right? Absolutely. Number one issue right now. Can I just say a couple of things, piggyback on that? Number one, census jobs pay pretty well.
Yes. That job starts off with $25 an hour.
Okay, and up. Okay? You can work part-time or full-time, and when you go online, you can indicate what your preference is, part-time or full-time. And recruitment is going on right now. So if you're interested or you know someone who's interested, tell them. Go online right now and apply for a census job.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have any questions? Neil?
Neil Hurden, co-chair Friends of Waddy Footfield. So I have a two-part question. It actually dovetails into this citizenship issue. As you know, the Supreme Court struck down the citizenship question last year. However, it turns out the Trump administration is trying to do an end run around the particular citizen question. They've actually been asking the question through various agencies in various states. How are you going to combat that in this particular area? And then the second part that ties into this, as you know, in the Bloomberg administration, when the last census was done, there was a battle to everybody knew that the count was up instead of down. How are we going to resolve many of the mistakes that were made last time?
Did I answer that? Okay. Yes, Vanessa, you answered the first part because that's a census. Yeah.
Well, as a census taker, it's very important that when you go out there to greet those residents or homeowners or business owners or whomever in those communities, not only how you speak to them should be humbling, but your body language as well should match it, because of the fact that the times that we are living in at the moment is unfortunate that also poses a struggle for those of us that has to go out there and ask these questions and help and ask these people to give up their personal information. It will be where if your first impression means tremendous. And if you don't go there, especially knowing how things are going right now with ICE and the fear of all of that, as well as the fear of people thinking that if they don't give up certain information, like it was shown in this slide, certain information is not supposed to be asked. So if anyone finds out that's happening, report it. Please report it, because it makes our job even harder with people already being fearful what is going on right now with our administrative that's in office right now, unfortunately. And it's weird also because of that, we are urging those who take on this position, look at it, you being in their place. Make sure you understand that that you're dealing with someone who may be so fearful of even wanting to say hi to you and allowing you to open the door to just say who you're from. First of all of us will have a badge. I didn't receive mine yet. My appointment is next week for me to receive, but everyone will have a badge that's issued by the federal government. If that person who gets ready to ask you those questions, do not present that badge where you can clearly read that badge to them, close your door. Because then that means there's a scam going on. Or that person means not well because then they don't deserve to have it. But the problem we're having that we know we're going to be up against is the fact that, like you concerned about, Neil, is what's going on concerning people who fear that they are not a member of the United States. That is not a question that we should be asking. Not like you said, the Social Security numbers, any of that. All we are here for is to ask questions that's pertaining to your household of how many people. We don't care if you have on your lease, down on your lease, 3 people live there and you actually have 15. Count them 15 people because they're using the services that's in your community. That's all we're looking at. If you say 15 people live here, we don't care. We just want to count them in because we want to make sure that those 15 people are included in the funding that will be allocated to your community. That's it. So,
and, you know, you ask an important question that I think maybe we need to get back to you on, and that's the question of whether this federal administration is trying to do how did you put it? An end run. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. So I think we should go back and ask about that and get you an answer, Richard. But obviously, the print questionnaire has already been printed and is being distributed, so there's no way they can add a question to the actual questionnaire. Whether they're going to do something else, yeah, I mean, we can ask how the Census Bureau is preparing for something else.
Okay.
Yeah.
And, is that what concerns me, even under the, Bloomberg wasn't exactly the most progressive of city mayors, but even he had a struggle trying to get up the count for New York City last time in 2010, and he didn't succeed. And that's my concern this time, that even with de Blasio, we're going to still have a lot of problems. And that's why I want to know specifically what additional things you're going to do. And I don't just think it's just a matter of, putting multicultural individuals in things. There's obviously some logistic and technical things that need to be resolved, and that's really the premise of my question. I'm not
Definitely. So I'll just tell you the little bit that I know. So number one is in 2010, Mayor Bloomberg had an amazing census office team, but you could count the number of people working in that office on one hand. This time, they have like 70 people working in there, deployed to all different neighborhoods. On top of that, every level of government is involved this time, and there are many, many complete count committees mobilizing in different neighborhoods. I mean, this neighborhood could form a complete count committee of its own if that's more convenient to you than coming to the borough president's office. You could create your own and focus on what the issues are in your area. And then one other thing I'll mention is that this time they're really using technology, and I can give Richard some other websites. I mean, you can go online and find out where the hard-to-count census tracts are in your neighborhood. You can find that out, like, right now. I can give you the proper website. On top of that, they're going to be using, and I am a Luddite, so some of you would understand this better than me. I'm kind of a technophobe, although I do my best. But they're going to have real-time data while the census is going on. So they're actually going to know how many people, how well a census tract is doing. And if it's not doing well, they're going to send a bunch of people out there to promote the census. So those are some positives that are happening. I don't want to talk too much more, but I want to say one other thing, because what I talked about was pretty negative, like what would happen if we don't get counted. But there is a positive too. And I'd like to encourage all of you, particularly those of you who are in the arts and who are active in your communities, think about the census as a potential celebration. We've been talking about this. 10 years ago, there were immigrant nonprofits like the Minkwon Center, which works with Korean immigrants and Chinese immigrants. They organized barbecues, census barbecues, and people would come out in the community because they knew the Minkwon Center and the reputation, and they had asked for services there. So they would come out and enjoy a barbecue and get help filling out the census. You can do that too. We should all be organizing. I'm a vegetarian, but we should all be organizing, if not barbecues, some kind of celebration come April and help people to be counted. Yeah.
All right, Mark Goldberg, 2 questions actually. Is there going to be a large enough media blitz around that time and before to really stress that we're not really using the information to identify you as a citizen, and it's really important for the count of funding? And part 2 is there any way we can get people to say resident instead of a name? Because if you have just a resident address and, apartment number or something like that for us, here, it might be a little easier to get people to fill it out.
I mean, the question about the media campaign, all I can tell you is yes, there's going to be a massive media campaign. It's going to be multilingual. Jamie, do you want to say something about that? But it's not coming out of our office. Vanessa would be maybe the
I think that there will definitely be sort of official communications, but also there are so many nonprofit community-based organizations that are involved in this effort, and they're already sort of out there with social media in particular. And so I think that that's only going to intensify, and that's certainly part of the explicit plan that is expected of the community-based organizations that are receiving money from the New York City Complete Count Fund, of which there are over 150. So you will be seeing a lot of media coming, not only from the horse's mouth, but also from the sort of trusted community brokers.
And as for your second question, and Vanessa, if you want to comment on this, the question was, can you put just resident rather than your name? I believe the answer is no. Are there 9 or 10 questions on the questionnaire?
It's 10 questions.
10.
They want to keep track of who is that they have already touched bases with. Right. So therefore, if you just put resident, that could be anyone, and you'll have people coming to your door numerous times. You'll be contacted numerous times when you don't have to be.
Right.
So that's why it's important, and then that you are connected to that address. So we need to make sure that you and that address is connected.
Right.
You and the people in your address of your home is connected, so to make sure that everyone is accounted for. This particular census is extremely important than any other because of the growth that has come into our communities.
Mm-hmm.
And if we don't make sure that everyone is involved and counted for, you're going to see a lot of funding go to the wayside, especially when you already see that a lot of funding has gone to the wayside. Unfortunately, when things is being removed from the administration that we have now. And we're trying to make it our business to see to it that everyone gets involved and make themselves accounted for. So therefore, we cannot say that we were unfairly not given the monies that was supposed to be allotted to us in an appropriate way.
That, what you talked about, I mean, that is key, right? Because people are going to say, I don't want to give this information, and that's why we all need to personalize the message. What does this person need to hear so that they know that if they don't fill it out, their children may not have library services. Their children's education will suffer. Like, how do we personalize it so they think, okay, I'm going to put my name down because this is really important for me, for my family, for my community, that kind of thing. I mean, that's the challenge.
Okay, thank you so much. Great presentation. Thanks, everybody. Very important. Listen, one thing I want to bring up right now, though, is there were some great cupcakes back there that seem to have disappeared, and I think we need to give proper credit. So, business is very, very important. Please don't leave. Don't leave. So let's hang out for a second. This was a business that I first heard of a few years ago. When we first started, we were meeting in a small room, and she came and Anastasia came and explained about the business she's starting. It's, from what I understand, being quite successful so far. And so I'd like to bring her up, again, the author of those wonderful cupcakes. Anastasia Cunningham.
Hi, everybody. First, I'd like to point out my daughters who have sat beautifully throughout these 2 hours for fear of repercussions. But no, they're just, the presentations were very important. So thank you to Richard for inviting me. So I think you've all had my cupcakes, so hopefully that means you already like me. So I don't have to work too hard. Richard, or my husband, is going to pull up my website. So I have a bakery called Aloria Cakes and Sweets. I'm born and raised in Astoria, and I'm the proud first generation born in America of Greek immigrants, as I think I made clear with my census question. So I started my business. For me, being Greek, it's a very cultural thing. We bake every holiday season or not, and then when you come over, we forcefully feed our cookies down your throat, and then if you don't have any, we get really insulted. So I kind of grew up that way and was always giving things out and really, really loved to bake, but it wasn't until I had my children. My older son, who's 14, is home because, he's 14. So he's doing his homework. Hopefully. I'll check his phone usage later. And so I started making them birthday cakes every year for their actual birthdays. And then when we had parties, I would hire somebody because I'm like, I don't really know what I'm doing. So as they got older, the cakes got more and more elaborate. And then for my daughter Victoria's first birthday, I decided I was just going to make like a really big fancy cake, which I thought was really big and fancy. But now, like 7 years later, I'm like, that was the worst cake ever. But anyway, the point is, people encourage me to start a business. So I'm going to make it sound really seamless. I decided to start a business, and I did, but it doesn't really quite work that way. It was many, many years and lots of loans and hard work. I do have an actual bakery. It's a custom order bakery, so it's not a place where you can like walk in and buy a dozen cupcakes, let's say. But it is, you can contact me and go through my website, and then we would like place the order that way. So you don't have to go through all the cakes, but these are some of the things that I do. It's mostly pretty elaborate custom cakes. I do take smaller orders on occasion, but mainly it's I'm doing a lot of weddings these days, which is wonderful. And then, of course, still birthday cakes and other occasion cakes and all that fun stuff. So I am on Astoria Boulevard between 18th and 14th Streets. We live by Astoria Park, so we're residents, and we love it here. And it's wonderful. I was here as a child, and then as a young single person, and then I'm raising my children here, and now I have a business here. So it's kind of like the best of all worlds. I get to experience the community in many different ways and see all the changes. And that's really all I've got. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to take them. If you don't, that's okay. Eat the cupcakes. No big deal. Yes. Yes. Oh, sorry. Yes.
Hold on.
Hi, Tamika, sorry. Do you do vegan cakes as well?
So I have a few vegan things that I do. I don't specialize in them, but I do have a few vegan. Actually, a lot of Greek desserts are vegan. So they're not specifically vegan cakes, but I have some vegan cookies and vegan muffins and stuff like that. I don't use artificial stuff, so I'm trying to figure out a way to make things vegan and keep them healthy and not use. Sometimes I used to be vegan a long time ago, and I found that there were things that were just so junky, but they're like, oh, it's vegan, but I'm like, it's junk, like junk in a box. So I don't want to do that. I would rather it keep the integrity of the ingredients and make it fresh, and these are vegan. I mean, it doesn't matter, but so I'm working on it. Yeah.
Okay,
So, thank you.
Questions?
I don't need that.
That's what I said. I'm like, I don't need it. But they
Sure. Cassandra Canello, do you have more cupcakes?
That is like the best question.
You said eat the cupcakes.
No, I brought 60 cupcakes and they're all gone. So bless you all. Thank you. My daughter said, "Can I have some cupcakes?" I'm like, "They're not out yet." And they're like, "Yes, they are." And I'm like, "Okay, go eat them." But I have business cards back there. If you guys are interested, I'm more than happy.
I know that there's a catering hall in our area called the Renaissance, and
Yes.
I know that they're a client of yours.
Yes, I've been
Yep.
there several times.
Yep.
Okay.
Look at that cake.
I think there was. Did you have a question?
Oops. Hold on.
David Matton. The counter is just a display for orders. It's not for
Yeah, there is no
takeaway?
counter. Like if you
Okay.
drive by
Yeah.
tonight, you'll see the gate is down. It's literally just a commercial kitchen.
Okay.
So I see people by appointment,
okay.
especially for weddings and tastings and stuff. But that's when I'm not in production.
And no
because-
Lucamatis, or
I mean, I make them. I don't sell them, but I make them.
on a morning.
Yeah. I mean, I could, and I do. Ask my husband. So.
Any other questions?
Okay. Well,
Well,
thanks for having me again. I hope
I
you
tell you,
enjoyed
the whole family. Let's thank the whole family.
Thank
Yep.
you. And like I said, business cards are back there if you guys are interested. Thank
And
you
listen,
very much.
for your events, for anything that's coming up, every family has a lot of events. I think that these are gorgeous, and they're works of art. I think that we have a fourth, anchor art facility. Socrates, Noguchi, Wellincourt, and Aloria. How's that? Thank you. Okay, keep going. So everyone, listen, thank you for coming, okay? And I hope that you found this an interesting meeting. Please support the local businesses, Aloria Cakes and Sweets, also Brooklyn Harvest Market, and Costco, who all support us. And also, please come to support the church here that's so wonderful in donating their space.
Chairs back under. Last time they had chairs everywhere. Just tell them to push the chairs back under the table.
I thought we did. All right. Okay, and listen, if anybody can help us too, before they leave, if you could clean off the tables and push the chairs back underneath, that would greatly appreciate it. Okay, we thank you so much. And we'll see you in January. Have a wonderful holiday season. Thank you.